Welcome back, Time Crunch fans and TDFF fans. I'm your host, Coach Adam Pulford. With me again, and for all special editions of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift episodes, is my co-host, Renee Eastman.
Hey, Adam. Hey, everyone.
If you're joining us, if you've been joining us for the past 3 days, thank you. And if you've been enjoying it, please share it with a friend or a training partner to help grow the show even more. For anyone new who's just jumping in, welcome to you. Coach Renee and I are here to give you the best podcast that not only recaps the Women's Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, but we do so by weaving in coaching and training tips that you can apply to yourself or just learn and appreciate more from the women's peloton. So, Renee, do you want to start with a quick recap of today's stage?
Absolutely, Adam. But before I get to today's stage, we had a follow-up question related to our content from yesterday from one of our listeners. And we love questions from our listeners, so keep them coming. This message is from Chris. He says he's enjoying our discussion of the Tour de France Femmes. And it's his understanding that professional riders have their own coach, like you are Allison's coach, as well as they have a team coach. How is their training coordinated? This seems like a unique situation in sports.
Yeah. This is a great question. And I get asked that for AJ and then some other riders that maybe they're in some kind of junior development program and then they move on. And I would say that this is, it's a situation that has evolved over time. And straight up with Allison Jackson, they have a team manager, director sportif. Then they have a high performance director, which is Emma Trott, who you've heard from in episode 1. And I work closely with Emma, who also coaches riders on the team, to coordinate the training together. Now, I know that like Allison Jackson, as well as Kristen Faulkner and a few others on the team have their own separate coach, but then Emma coaches other riders directly. So there's some chefs in the kitchen there. And I would say in a healthy team environment right now anyway, that's normal and how it's done. However, bigger teams, and especially like in the men's peloton, they try to keep everything more in-house. So more and more, even in the women's peloton now, is they will have, coaches on board, high performance directors, coaches, strength coaches, sports psychologists, nutritionists, who you will hear from later today, to all kind of work under the same umbrella. So with AJ, because I've been working with her for years, I first met her in 2015, and there's a whole story there on how she was going to different teams, also had a CTS coach before that. But then about 2019, I think she reached out and we started working together, and we've been working together since. So I write all the training program on Training Peaks. We talk weekly. And then Emma, during team camps or when like there's more team orchestrated things and races and stuff, she'll be in Training Peaks as well and kind of orchestrating the big days, the key days, and all that kind of stuff. And then sometimes what I'll see from her is like coach's choice, and then I have to kind of stay ahead and work and build that on a specific day. So that's how it works. That's behind the scenes action for you.
Thanks, Adam. That's really interesting. I actually was a little curious myself.
Excellent.
So let's get on.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. That was a really cool question. And as Renee said, we love questions. So keep them firing in. You can go to trainwright.com/podcast, click on Ask a Training Question, or throw it in the YouTube comments or IG comments or wherever the heck you're seeing us.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to the stage. I've got a couple updates before we talk about the stage, because yesterday's crash, Demi Vollering went down. We were really worried about how she was going to be. All reports are no broken bones. She was cleared for concussion. She started the stage. Actually, I don't think I saw her all day, which is a good thing because she was hiding. Another interesting thing that I don't know if you saw, I was watching the Instagrams and the Blue Sky posts this morning. I saw Team Jumbo Lisa. It's not Jumbo anymore. Visma Lisa Bike. Gosh, these team names they switch every year. They screw me up. But they were all rolling up to the sign-in with masks on.
Ooh, I
There's
did
some
not see that.
rumor about some GI issues going around, and we
Hmm.
already know that 2 of our GC favorites are out due to
Yeah.
GI illness,
Yeah.
Longoborghini, Rooster. So I just thought that was interesting. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
it's in the men's tour. There was something going around. I remember a couple interviews, primarily with Tade, saying like, yeah, feels like everybody's getting sick, that
yeah.
kind of thing. So yeah, good
So we'll have
good
to
point.
have to watch for that.
Yeah.
And I do have a corrections corner. I mistakenly said Catalina Soto was from Cuba yesterday, when of
I
course
was
she
gonna
is
say
from
Chile.
Chile.
Yeah,
I know.
I should have chimed in because
You
they
can.
said Chilean and
Yeah, I know.
I like the word
Anyway,
Chilean. So
I am not perfect, but I will own up to it, and you guys can call me on it. Leave it in the
hey,
notes, leave it in the comments.
I think
All
that
right.
we are fact checking ourselves is wonderful. So well done,
Yeah.
Coach.
All right. Today's when to watch alert. This is actually a fairly quiet stage up to the finish, so you guys can kind of take the day off. I got plenty of work to do this afternoon. I'm sure you do too. So I'd just say tune in the last 5, 10K. Pretty
Yeah.
standard sprint stage.
Yep.
So onto the stage, as I said, pretty flat, very straightforward. It took forever for the break to go. It was, kind of forming in dribs and drabs, and about 50K to go. The 2 main breakaway riders, Ana Victoria Magalhães from Brazil and Franzi Koch from Germany on Team Picnic Post NL. Franzi Koch, she's been off the front a lot. She is going for that most aggressive rider
Mhm.
award. But today's break, they were kept on a pretty short leash, maybe minute and a half at the most. SD Works was really controlling it, and as we got closer to the finish, they were lined out. Clear goal of the day, get Weebus up there. Um, and one of the things I noticed in particular, I saw it yesterday too, is how much work Anna van der Breggen is doing in the finals. And today, even more. She was up there. Like, the lead out kind of fell apart as Kopecky just wasn't, she couldn't, she's suffering, I think. But van der
She's
Breggen,
suffering now.
yeah, van der Breggen was up there for at least a kilometer on her own.
Yeah, but even before that, speaking of workhorses, and I'm just gonna like wave my fanboy hat here. Blanca Bosch. She has
Oh, yeah.
been
Yeah.
like one of my favorite riders to watch for a few years now. She's young, comes from a cyclocross background, but like workhorse, and she has done a fantastic job of bringing back pretty much every break that's gone, along with
Yeah.
Van der Breggen and others.
Yeah, it's clear to me that stage wins are a huge priority.
Yeah,
The whole SD Works team lined out to bring Weebus, and Van der Breggen doing a bunch of work is a clear sign to me that GC is not her priority. She still has a great shot to finish up in the top 5 or 6 riders, maybe even podium, but it's not her priority. Like, you don't see Demi leading anybody out. You don't see uh, Niwadoma leading anybody out. But I have noticed Niwadoma is always at the front. She was
yeah,
up there with like 400 meters to go, not contesting the sprint, but
right.
just staying out of danger. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, she's super consistent. Always knows where to be. Really smart rider in that way. But the one thing I'll throw in, we don't have to go super deep on this, but I think what is interesting on Van der Breggen is keep in mind she was at the top of her game, retired, went on to be DS for SD Works, and
yeah.
now she's coming back. So I think like some of her roles playing out because I think you add another level of awareness and wisdom when you're driving in the car for 6 hours a day, watching bike racing, and you get a different perspective, right? So now she's like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and maybe she doesn't have the spear honed like she used to, so but she still has a huge engine, so she knows where to go, what to do, and in a different way, I think. So I just want to mention that.
Yeah, the engine is clearly there, but
Invincible.
on the tactics part, we're going to see what she does in the mountains, because what she used to do in the mountains was go to the front and ride everybody off her wheel.
Yeah.
And she has tried that in a couple of races, and it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Things change.
well, it's a whole lot more competitive now, and I
Yeah.
think that's the topic that we can get into later this week about
Yeah.
how much more competitive the races are.
Yeah.
But there's no competition when it comes to these flat sprints. It's Weebus got a little chaotic because she lost her lead out by the last few hundred meters. She was surfing wheels, still was able to slip in there between the barriers and Chloe Diger. I think she gave a little a little shove to
She
Chloe.
shimmied her way through Voss and Chloe. It was, and then Hulk smashed. It was like,
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah. So it's clear Voss and Weebus are the best sprinters in the race, and they keep on going 1-2. They're 1-2 in the intermediate sprint, and Weebus definitely has the upper edge on a flat sprint. She's got the green jersey right now. Let's see what happens in the rest of the race, because she's never won it before, and she would like to win it. I saw Weebus getting in a lot of breaks at the Giro, and I think she was doing it for training, because that's Voss's move
100%.
to get in the break, get the intermediate sprints on the stages that these sprinters won't be up at the front for the finale. So no big changes in the GC today. Voss is still in yellow. Shabby's still in the polka dots. Weebus is in the green, as I said. Only other race note for today, a little bit disappointing.
I just wanted to mention Julie Bego in the white jersey consistently.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Hell of a talent, and I would definitely watch that name in years to come, because she's looking good.
I had her on my fantasy team. I had to rearrange to take her off, but I'm with you. She's an up and coming talent. Yep. A sad note on today: Kristen Faulkner crashed with about 5K to go. Looked pretty hard. She did get up. She looked okay, but she is not having a good race. I don't think she's feeling well. You have any insights on that, Adam?
I don't personally. I think that, if you follow her on Instagram, which I would suggest, she's very authentic, and, kind of whatever happens in the race, she'll put it out there, and straight up, from was it yesterday or a couple days ago, where she got caught behind that crash. She's just like, hey, look, sometimes crap happens, and then it's a tough day. And then when you're on international television, it sucks even more. So I'd say just tune into her channels, because you'll probably learn a little bit more of what's going on. But yeah, I don't. I know she wasn't feeling great going into this, but some girls weren't.
And speaking of following on Instagram, everyone's got to follow Allison Jackson, because her videos are off the hook.
She has a strong presence in the socials, including TikTok, which I am not there, but apparently she crushes it in all platforms. So
I'll make one more recommendation, because Demi's another good follow on his Instagram.
Yeah.
She is very honest and raw. She talks a lot about like her mental health and things like that. But I'm going to say the main reason to follow Demi is the dog content. She likes to ride around on her bike with her dog in her backpack around Switzerland, where she lives.
Yep, the dog
content. I'm very pro dog content.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's move on to talking a little coaching, because I think some of the questions that are like prolific that we get all the time, we're just getting ahead of them, are about how pros fuel during a stage race like this, what they eat, when they eat it, and how it changes day to day.
Yes. Well, it's good that I wear my snack hat today then, Renee. So
very appropriate.
Yes.
So Adam, I know we have some content from one of our esteemed guest contributors. So why don't you introduce that for us?
Yeah. So if you are a loyal listener to the Time Crunch Cyclist podcast, you will remember the name Kristen Arnold. She is a dietitian and sport nutritionist who has been on the show, I don't know, handful of times, 5, 6, something like that. And she works closely with some of my top pros and junior elites. And she recently just became a dietitian for EF Oatly Cannondale. So reached out to her to get her insights on a few kind of various topics, including recovery, race day nutrition, and a few other things. So yeah, I would say like watching those videos is like, man, this is perfect because they're like 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes or something like that. And it really answers a lot of questions that everybody's been asking about, like tart cherry juice, electrolytes, what should I eat before and after racing. So these videos should do some good stuff for everybody curious on how to dial in their race day nutrition. So let's listen to the first one on race nutrition from Kristen Arnold, dietitian of EF Oatly, Cannondale.
The amount of carbs, electrolytes, and fluids that we're recommending athletes take in during the tour are very person dependent and also depending on the day. So for carbs, it'll depend on what is the tolerance level of that athlete, what's the profile of the stage and how long is the stage, and what's the overall energy expenditure estimated, and how does in-race fueling play into the rest of their energy needs for that day. So that can range anywhere from 75 grams of carb per hour up to 120 grams of carb per hour. And so per stage, this can be anywhere from 150 up to 540 grams of carb. As far as fluids and electrolytes go, leading into the tour, we'll do sweat volume tests for athletes and see how much are they sweating per hour depending on different conditions in different environments. And then we'll also do sweat electrolyte concentration testing to see how much sodium are they losing per liter of sweat. So depending on that, we'll make fluid recommendations. And we always recommend doing mix and water to make sure they're digesting everything with the water, but still getting their electrolyte needs met. Going into the stage, we might have them do electrolyte protocol because they may not be able to replace all of them during the stage, but at least they'll get everything by the end. So it's pretty person dependent, but with fluids, it can again be anywhere from 3/4 of a liter up to 1.5 liters per hour.
Hey, Adam, I thought it would be valuable to maybe follow up on a couple of things that Kristen said. I think the stuff with the carbohydrates and amount to eat per hour is pretty prolific information out there. But I thought it would be helpful if we could explain how our athletes could actually calculate their sweat losses to help them understand how much fluid they need.
Yeah, this is a critical one. I would say, especially living on the East Coast right now, coming up into August. I mean, we have I think a high temperature of 100 degrees and a real feel of like 109 in DC right now. So knowing how your body responds to heat and knowing how much you're actually losing, so you can put it back in, is crucial. Then when you're doing stage racing, all the more important, right? Because that's your job and you got to live to fight another day. So to estimate your sweat loss, weigh yourself naked right before and right after a workout. Ideally, you do a workout that's 60 to 90 minutes for our time crunched athletes. That's your sweet spot, right? And you do it in race-like conditions if you want to dial in the sweat loss for like race effort, okay? You want to towel off any sweat before the post-workout weigh-in. And for every pound, which is right around a half a kilogram or something like that, that loss is about 16 ounces of sweat. But don't forget to factor in what you drank, add the volume of fluids consumed during the session into that weight loss. So for example, if you lost 1 pound and drank a 500 milliliter bottle, right over 16 ounces or so, your sweat loss is about 975 milliliters. This gives you a rough estimate on how much fluid loss per hour you had, which can help guide you in your hydration plan. Keep in mind that you don't need to replace all of that while exercising, but replacing at least 60% up to 80% is usually more comfortable and effective for performance.
That's right. And that's something that anybody can do. All you need is a scale, really. Pretty basic. She also mentioned sweat electrolyte concentration testing, which is probably new to or less familiar for a lot of people. It's a test that we actually offer at Carmichael Training Systems. We use a precision hydration system to do sweat electrolyte testing. It's a non-exercise test. We place a little patch on somebody's arm, zap it with some electrodes to stimulate sweating, and then just, collect the sweat right against the skin, put it into our little analyzer, and it's going to give us an accurate sodium loss so that we can give recommendations of you need X amount of milligrams of sodium per liter. And I see it pretty eye-opening for a lot of people because, we're often telling people 800, 900, 1500 milligrams of sodium per liter, which is quite a bit more than what you see on some of your, normal sports drinks. So Precision Hydration has a lot of different formulas, and some of these formulas really geared around those 750, 1,000, 1,500 milligrams of sodium per liter. It's not per bottle, it's per liter. So, that's a little different.
Yeah. So a couple of questions to you, Renee, because I haven't done this one in particular. I've done a couple other electrolyte tests. But if someone someone has to go to CTS location to get this done,
right?
Is that right?
And yes, and Precision Hydration is one of the main people offering. We have their product, we have their device, and you can go to their website and see where you can get tested around your location. Tests, the cost varies, $150, $200, somewhere in there is usually pretty standard pricing.
Yeah. So if you get tested in Colorado Springs, which is high and dry, meaning low humidity, high altitude, would the results differ if I came back to the East Coast where it is low and humid as a swamp?
No, it's pretty standard that, where your sweat rate, how much you sweat, is going to vary by the environmental conditions quite a bit. How much sodium you lose is a little bit more even. And because we're doing this in a non-exercise test, we're just stimulating your sweat. So, the environmental conditions aren't really playing a big role in the test.
Yeah. So I guess that's my point is like the electrolyte tests of old or previous, not that old actually, but it used to be a little bit more environmentally driven, whereas this one is different. And I think that no matter where you get the test done, you can apply it, more specifically to your training, no matter what. So it's a generalized test that I think is better for most if you want to go to that next step. But I think that the sweat rate is first important, and then the electrolyte test is kind of another cool add-on. Okay, so let's go to video number 2, which is talking all about recovery nutrition. And again, this is coming from Kristen Arnold.
For recovery, the main goals for our athletes are to make sure that they are rapidly replenishing glycogen at the end of one stage to the beginning of the next stage. And this is where timing of carbs comes really important for post-race. We're also factoring in rehydration, making sure that they're coming out of the race in good hydration status. And this will help to improve sleep quality and quantity. And we use supplemental strategies such as tart cherry juice. You'll see a lot of videos of our athletes using avec cherry juice immediately after the race. And the antioxidants and also the carbohydrates and the fluid help to check a lot of these boxes. So we'll also include a personalized post-race meal depending on the athlete preferences and also what their specific needs are based on their kilogram body weight. And that's about an hour to an hour and a half after the race. And then for dinner, we have a chef that designs specific meals that will help the athletes to get what they need in, that's easy to digest, high in carbs and lean protein. And also, again, those antioxidants, foods that are going to help their bodies to recover going into sleep and into the next stage.
Adam, one of the things that she mentioned in there that I think is kind of new and maybe a little curiosity to some of our athletes out there is like, what's that red junk they see everybody drinking at the end of the stages now? It seems like probably the last couple of years now, all of a sudden everybody's drinking something red, and that's the tart cherry juice. She had mentioned the Amex tart cherry juice contains phenols, and those have been shown to reduce oxidative stress as well as decrease muscle soreness. And as Kristen noted, that drinking it right after the stage is an appropriate timing for taking the tart cherry juice, but it also is going to be bringing in some carbs because it is a sugary drink, and it's helping with getting the hydration back up. And when what they're drinking is concentrated tart cherry juice, if you wanted to get that in the actual cherries, you would need to eat 45 or 60 monastery tart cherries. That's a lot. Not really practical to do. We could think back to the days of when beet juice became real popular and blending up beets and people trying to drink a bunch of beet juice and getting a little ill. But now, like with the tart cherry juice concentrate or beet juice concentrate, just a little bit more effective dose. The dose is about 1 ounce of tart cherry concentrate, and it's really effective right post stage, so immediately post stage. And sometimes I'll even take another dose before bed because there's some impact to just the antioxidants and a little bit better sleep. It's one of those things. I'm not like super pro supplements, especially when you're spending hundreds of dollars on pills that marginally are effective. But this is one I'm saying, like, it's shown, it's got some evidence behind it, and it's not a crazy concoction. It's just concentrated cherry juice. And you can get it in fairly inexpensive ways. If you're getting, just looking for, go online and look for concentrated tart cherry juice. And that would be something that go ahead and try. That's my opinion. Might help, probably not going to hurt. It's food.
Yeah. Agreed. And I would agree with you in that, okay, of all the pills, potions, and powders that you could be taking, right? Like, generally speaking, the closer it is to the plant or the animal, that's better, less processed and in all the things. So also tart cherry juice is nothing new under the sun. I think it's cycling back through. I've had riders been using this for 15 years. Okay. So but now that Todd is drinking it, now that Vibus is drinking it, like everybody's into it. Right. And because we have better footage after, post race and all this kind of stuff. And also we have better products. Couple aspects here. I think that when it's stage racing, really important to get back out there the next day. So reducing oxidative stress, reducing inflammation, reducing RPE, all this kind of stuff, and helping to recover quickly. However we can do that legally, let's do it. However, I would say this isn't something I would do every single day in training. I probably wouldn't even do it post-workout after a hard workout if you don't have anything coming up the next day. Like if you just have recovery spin or easy endurance the next day, don't worry. And the reason for that is inflammation is not bad. And I've got a episode coming up to talk all about that. So I won't reveal all of the information right now, but inflammation is not a bad thing. And it comes in, it helps your body to recover. So if you're always guzzling tart cherry juice for that reason, you might have unintended consequences. Now, from a better sleep and recovery just before bed standpoint, check out Dr. Stacy Sims on Instagram. Yesterday, she just posted some sleep hacks, and this is one of them. So when you're using it kind of as that, medicinal sleep aid with recovery and antioxidant sort of benefit, that's great. So, for those in the feed right now, putting all the tart cherry juice, loading up in hundreds of dollars worth because you're going to do it every day, I wouldn't do that. Okay, there's key time periods to do it. Pro tour riders, they do it to get back out there to perform at their highest the next stage. And yes, this is a pretty good product in my opinion. It's natural and it works really well. Okay, so now when we're getting a little long here on the time crunched episode podcast, video 3, let's listen from Kristen on the pre and post nutrition.
For our team, we develop a bank of recipes that is at the beginning of the season, and we use those recipes to create menus about 2 weeks before the tour. So the menu might change during the tour depending on what the chef can get access to, but we have an amazing chef for the tour, and they've been doing a really good job of making sure that the athletes are well-fueled, well-fed, and also with recipes and foods that they enjoy. So breakfasts will typically be things like pancakes or rice pudding or rice. And the athletes always have the choice of how they want their eggs, if they want an omelet or if they want fried eggs or scrambled eggs. So they always have that choice. And the breakfasts are recommended to the athletes based on what the stage is and how much time there is between breakfast and starting the stage. They'll also get a pre-race meal before then, but the breakfast is really, really key to making sure they get the bulk of those nutrients and those carbs leading into the stage. For dinners, those are designed to make sure that the athletes have access to good carbohydrate-rich foods and lean protein and generally cooked vegetables, things that are easier to digest. So again, we'll include quite a bit of variety here, but also foods that the athletes are used to because they've been eating those recipes throughout the rest of the season.
I wanted to follow up on what Kristen was saying about easy to digest, because stage racing diet, if you will, is a little bit different than your day-to-day healthy diet, because we're not so interested in long-term health. And in particular, I'm going to talk about fiber and things that stress the gut. So easy to digest means, usually low in fiber, low in fat, and simple foods, a lot of white rice, cooked veggies instead of kale salads, lean proteins and things like that, because you're looking to get a lot of fuel in. So you don't want a lot of bulk. And you also don't want a lot of bulk for other reasons that you might have, a mid-race emergency a la Tom Doolan. So the term you might hear is low void, and that's just basically low fiber, because these athletes right now, they need to be light and they need to not need to do a lot of work digesting. They don't want to slow their digestion down with a lot of fiber. So this is a lot different than, being healthy, getting all your fiber and your vitamins and things like that. It's about get the maximum food in and the minimum stress to the GI system and keeping things pretty simple, as it were.
Yeah, no, that's it. I think limiting GI issue is the key aspect of kind of this easy to digest aspect that Kristen was talking about. And let's face it, I mean, raw fruits and vegetables, they're healthy. And if you don't eat fiber, you probably won't live a good life in the long term. So you need fiber. But again, coming back to stage race implication or having something really hard again the next day, you need to be able to adjust the food accordingly. So easy, digestible, get the carbs in, get the proteins in, and not have GI issues. What fiber does, it slows, right? It slows digestion. It sits there. And so if it sits there and festers, it's there the next day and it's going to cause those GI issues. So all of that all that being said, I would even go back to the tart cherry juice and just say, it's also good to incorporate something like that, post race and then again at night, because you're not getting a ton of the antioxidants and fiber and some of these other phytonutrients that are coming from the more diversity of food that you'd be doing normally during training or for a normal person, right? So the bland foods, easy to digest, and soft foods that we're eating during a grand tour like this, it's very specific, right? So you want to play with that and then be able to adjust it. So if you have a local stage race coming up and you want to try this for yourself, it's like, well, just do it in training. Have a block of 3 or 4 days that are going to be hard, and start eating more of the rice, the cooked vegetables, easily digestible proteins with low fat, like chicken versus red meats and things like this. So yeah, I think the video definitely covers how they actually do it at the tour.
Yeah. And as we wrap up on all Kristen's content, I'm curious, Adam, what's your favorite pre-race meal?
Toast, lots of coffee.
Basic.
Real basic. I'm one that I put it in the night before. So I'll have a nice big meal of pasta, red sauce typically, and go to bed like pretty full. But then I wake up, coffee, toast, maybe a little bit of like almond butter, jam, whatever, but like maybe one piece of toast, whatever, and rock and roll. Because typically, remember, I mean, master races, because I'm in beer league bullshit sort of stuff. Long live Mabra. In gravel races and stuff, like it's very early. So I don't have the luxury, right, of having a chef curated meal given to me at whatever time I wake up and then racing, at 2 p.m. or something like that. If I was racing later in the day, yeah, I'd have eggs and something bigger. But
yeah, and that's just something to follow up on what she said. The breakfast, then a pre-race meal, because these ladies aren't racing till afternoon, 1, 2, 2:30. So it's breakfast probably at a normal time, 8 or 9 in the morning, and then that pre-race meal, which would be a little bit less in calories, really high carbohydrate, very moderate in protein, very low fat, so it's easy to digest, and that's probably what, no more than 3 hours before the stage.
Yep. Yeah. And I think like the biggest thing to note on all of this is as I observe riders or people, their breakfasts don't change all that much. And you should know what works for you. So for me, it's toast and like small toast if I'm racing early. But then if I'm not racing till midday or if I'm doing a group ride like later on the day, it's eggs, toast, fruit, lots of coffee, right? So the toast is kind of like the normal and common denominator. You scale up and scale down depending on the timing of things. And so rice is huge in the women's and men's pro tour. A lot of my junior elites, they're religious about rice for breakfast, and it works really well. I just don't prefer it personally, so that's why I rock toast.
Right on.
Yeah. So Renee, we'll keep this short and sweet, but tomorrow's stage, what's it looking like and who's your pick?
Well, Adam, tomorrow is, I would say, when the racing starts to get a little more interesting, because we're starting to get into some climbs. Not the big mountains yet, but a little bit more climbing. The first half of tomorrow's stage is pretty flat, but then they start climbing a lot in the second half. There's a climb with about 10, it kind of tops out about 10K from the finish. There's a bonus sprint at the top, bonus seconds at the top.
Okay.
10Ks downhill to the finish. So I expect a select GC favorite kind of group. Maybe somebody slips off the front, but the GC is so tight that it's gonna be close. I'm gonna pick Anna van der Breggen. She did that at the Vuelta. And she tried to pull at the Giro, it didn't work. But that's my pick.
So I glanced at the next stage right before this podcast. It finishes downhill, like slight downhill? Okay.
No, downhill. 10Ks down, like descent, probably twisty turny. If Longo Borghini was still here, I'd be picking, picking a good descender.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not picking.
So bonus time at the top and then 10K downhill.
So aggressive over the top, ripping down to the descent. I think the actual finish line might have a little uphill drag to it, but it's essentially a race to the bottom.
Okay. Well, I will probably stew on my pick a little bit more, but I go PFP then. She can rip up and down.
Yes.
So
good pick.
That's my pick. Yeah, that's my pick. So let's end it there, huh? We went pretty long on the whole nutrition side of things, but like Renee said, it's a hot topic. We always get tons of questions on race day nutrition, fueling, and so thank you to Kristen Arnold for providing all that content for us. She's a dear friend, and she, like I said, she works with a lot of my athletes, so Kristen, thank you. And if you are interested in learning more about Kristen Arnold and what she is doing, we'll link to her website in our show notes. And it's Kristen Arnold Nutrition. If you just Google that, if you're like, I never go to show notes, just Google that. And if you're curious, she runs a whole company based on women's physiology, and she has other top nutritionists working for her. So if you're curious, go there. And thanks again to Kristen, and good luck at the tour to your riders this week.